Batman Arkham City. Before I start, please excuse the video quality. My HDMI connection isn't working, so I had to use an RCA connection for now. I held off on getting this game for a while because I wasn't sure if I'd be buying it simply because it's got the Batman name attached. The question I had was, if they released the same exact game but called it Joe's City and didn't have any Batman characters, would it still be worth playing? Well, after playing it, I can say that yes, the gameplay is strong enough on its own to make it a title worth owning, but the fact that it's Batman just pushes it to the next level, turning a very good game into a great game. You'll constantly be waiting for your favorite Batman characters to appear, and this game definitely delivers on that. I don't have too much to say about the graphics other than they're awesome. I grew up with the Atari 2600 and the NES, so graphics for any current game of this generation pretty much blow my mind. Just simply being able to play as Batman and grapple around the city is awesome on its own. I also just beat The Amazing Spider-Man for PS3 as well, and both of these games are kind of the same in that respect. Being able to live vicariously through your favorite superhero and swing around these cities with the bat grapple or the spider web is just a ton of fun. With Batman, once you learn to dive bomb, you can pull back on the control stick and it's virtually as though he can fly. Looking down on the city with all its incredible detail and atmosphere really makes you feel like you are Batman. While the graphics are great, I did encounter a few problems throughout. For one thing, when you do side missions with the phone, how come Batman doesn't pick the phone up? And why doesn't his mouth move when he's speaking? And also, as I was playing, some glitches came up on me a few times. I don't know if this was an issue due to the PS3 or the game itself, but it got really annoying getting stuck inside of objects, because then I had to restart the whole mission. This game is like an upgraded version of Arkham Asylum from 2009, but this time you're in northern Gotham, which they call Arkham City, and it's where all the criminals reside. The Joker's dying, something's wrong with his blood, so the Joker injects Batman with some of his own blood, and now Batman has the same disease. So Batman has no choice but to figure out a cure, not only to save his own life, but to prevent the same fate from consuming the people of Gotham City. So yeah, in this game Batman's on a quest to find a cure, which sets him off on an adventure where he encounters all the classic Batman villains you'd ever hope to see, like Catwoman, the Riddler, Mr. Freeze, Clayface, you name it. Batman himself sort of has that Michael Keaton look to him, which I love. It's not the rough-speaking Christian Bale version. The Joker is voiced by Mark Hamill. He did the Joker's voice in Batman the Animated Series, which was the best animated version of Batman ever, in my opinion. During the end credits, he sings Only You, which couldn't be a more fitting song. The way it's performed is perfect.
You're my dream come true, my one and only you.
And I noticed in one part, he was watching a movie called The Terror on film. I wonder if that's supposed to be a tribute to The Terror from 1963 with Jack Nicholson. That'd be somehow fitting since he also played the Joker. As the game progresses, you earn experience points and level up. But better than that, as you level up, you'll also get new tech upgrades. It's like in Final Fantasy where you learn a new spell, but here you get new bat gadgets. That right there is enough to keep you playing. As you're going through the game, you'll have to make clever use of your gadgets in order to advance, so there's a much needed puzzle aspect which will require you to think a bit. And there's so many Riddler puzzles as side quests, there's more puzzles than you'll know what to do with. I like the controls in the game because they're incredibly simple. I have to admit, I was never good at remembering combo moves. Here it's more like NES games where it's just one or two buttons for attacking, which is more my speed. That's not to say that the controls are overly simple though. As you get more experience points, you'll get additional moves like the aerial attack for one example, where you can jump over enemies with shields to disarm them. And these moves aren't too hard to pull off. There's usually an on-screen instruction to tell you how to perform the move, which makes it really simple. And I like that after you defeat a group of enemies, the camera goes into sort of a close-up cinematic that lets you know that the area has been cleared of the foes. If you get into a lot of trouble during a fight, you can throw a smoke bomb down, which will give you time to escape. It really comes in handy when things get too overwhelming. Then there's the line launcher, which is the same gadget that Batman used in the Tim Burton movie in the museum scene. You use it as a horizontal zip line to get across large gaps and pits. It's really a nice addition. There's also the explosive gel that you use quite a bit. If you get up to a crack in the wall, you can apply a thin coat of the explosive liquid to the surface and then ignite it. It's the Bat equivalent to Link dropping his bombs, except that Batman can use the liquid on multiple surfaces and blow up several areas at the same time. It's a cool weapon, but if you notice, when he applies the liquid to the wall, he always makes the foam in the shape of a bat. Does he really need to do that? He's gonna blow up the wall in a few seconds anyhow, so what's the point of making it a bat shape? I can understand when the Riddler leaves a question mark as his calling card, because somebody is gonna see it, but there's no reason for Batman to put the liquid into a bat shape. What a bat brain. There's a bunch of different types of enemies in the game. There's the regular street thugs that can be taken out easily just by smashing the button, but then there's guys that take a little bit more thought to take down. The snipers can be tough because if you get shot, it takes away a huge amount of energy, so using stealth against them is the way to go. But the enemy that's by far the most annoying are the ones with stun sticks. You can't just attack them head on. You have to perform a special move where you evade them and jump behind their back, and then attack them from behind. These were the only enemies in the game that really gave me a hard time throughout the game.
I give you Clayface.
Not to spoil anything, but the end boss fight is Clayface, which may be a little surprising. The thing is, he's actually one of the easiest bosses, I thought. All you have to do is throw some freeze blasts at him and get him to roll into the corner where the explosives are. Visually, he looks really cool, but I was kind of disappointed from a gameplay perspective. Shouldn't the final boss fight be the hardest? Where the boss fights really shine, though, was definitely the battle with Mr. Freeze. What makes this great is the way that you have to subdue him. Mr. Freeze is far too powerful for Batman to fight head-on, so you have to use your wits to defeat him. One way to get at Freeze is to use the different structures in the room to injure him. For example, you can use electricity to shock him, then run up and land a few hits. Or you can hide below in a vent, and then wait for him to pass overhead, then surprise attack him. The thing about it is, Mr. Freeze learns as it goes on. He's not stupid. You can't just use the same attacks over and over. You have to continually find new ways to outsmart him. It's truly one of the best boss fights that I've played in any game. And there's of course the fight with the Joker, which actually reminds me of something out of the 1960s Batman TV show. All it needed was some pows and blams. And I noticed that he uses the phrase delicious a lot, which seems like a nod to the Cesar Romero Joker. The whole game is like several blocks or so that make up a super prison. It may not be as large a map as a game like, let's say, Red Dead Redemption, but the strong atmosphere makes up for the size. It's truly a rich environment. To get around this map, there's a compass to direct you to whatever objective you're currently going for. Or you can also go to the map to set waypoints, which sends up the bat signal to mark your destination. It's very much like a Grand Theft Auto game in that respect. One part that's really cool yet challenging is when you have to hit a concealed switch in a cage with the remote control Batarang. I must have attempted this 20 times before I finally hit the switch. But when I did, then I found out that wasn't enough. You have to guide that Batarang through an electrical current, then back through the narrow opening to hit the switch for it to work. It requires problem-solving skills and precision skill with the controls, and I just thought it was really cool. One sort of, minor complaint I have is the detective mode. The graphics are so beautiful in this game, you really want to just be able to fully appreciate them, but you have to switch to detective mode so often to scan enemies and objects that you really don't get to view the world in its natural state enough. I like the idea of detective mode, I just feel like it ruins the atmosphere to an extent, since you have to turn it on so much. I did go through and I beat the entire main campaign, and even after you finish the main story, you'll still have upgrades to collect and a ton of side quests to complete. There's hundreds of riddles all around the city that you can try to solve, and this is good because it'll give you plenty to do after you complete the main quest. But at the same time, I feel like it's kind of padding the game out with just too many riddles. In Grand Theft Auto, let's say, there's a wider variety of side mission types to do. I think having most of the side missions here being related to the Riddler is just overkill. If I ever did spend the time to get every single Riddler trophy and get 100% completion, I am sure that I would never want to do it again. But I could see possibly going through the main quest a second time and trying to beat it on a hard difficulty. So there certainly is some replay value. So real quick, let me just tell you about my favorite single moment in the game as I was playing through it. At one point you're trying to get through this secret passageway or whatever to get to Ra's al Ghul. So to unlock this door, Batman needs to find a sword to use as a key.
It looks like a sword fits here.
He's at the door and he's trying to find his way in, and just then a ninja appears and he takes her head and slams it right into the wall and uses her sword immediately to open the door. That is classic Batman humor right there. I just love that. Arkham City has just about everything you could ever want out of a Batman game. The main campaign is a little short, but there's so many side missions I really can't complain. After going through it and beating the game, there's really only one thing that I felt was actually missing, and that's the Batmobile. Alfred's always dropping off equipment for you during the game, so why can't he send over the Batmobile somehow? Or at the very least, he should be able to send in the Batplane, don't you think? They did such a good job of including such a wide range of Batman characters, I'm surprised that they couldn't find a way to incorporate Batman's most famous vehicles either. But regardless, it's an amazing game, and I hope they do a sequel for the PS4 or the Xbox 720. Whatever they decide to do for the next Batman game, I just hope the Batmobile's in it. And also, I think that they should make their rewards unlockable retro Batman games. Like, let's say in the next game you defeat all the Riddler puzzles, it'd unlock the Adventures of Batman and Robin. And if you complete the main quest, it'd unlock Batman for the NES. Wouldn't that be cool? I think if they did it that way, it would be simply delicious.
And only